Yeah, hey, good afternoon. Good to see y'all again. Just want to start by, thanking three members of our football team who suffered injuries that it's going to keep them out the rest of the season. And just last week was a tough week. It was a tough week. Three great men, three people who represented this university and this football team the right way. Proud of them. Obviously, Chris Turner, a senior who's contributed and played a lot of football here for the Missouri Tigers, has battled so many things on and off the field. And this game can be cruel, and it's not always fair. And it's not fair for him to have to go out this way, but that's life, and he's handled it with a tremendous attitude. Obviously, he's disappointed in that he's not going to be able to finish the season on the football field the way he wanted to. But he's going to be with this football team, and he's going to continue to help coach and be around and encourage. And that's the thing about Chris that really stands out to me. The young man has never had a bad day. He's never had a bad day. It wasn't always going right. He wasn't always the starter. He had a lot of things. Most people didn't know when the hurricane came through this past in September. His house was flooded, and he was able to block that out and continue to show up every day and work with determination and grit. And Chris Turner is going to make it in this world, and we're going to be all proud that he's Mizzou made. And I'm sure proud to have been able to coach him for the last two seasons. But he has taught me a lot more than I've ever taught him, and I'm really proud of Chris Turner. Mason Pack, a super senior who came back, who earned a scholarship, who works his butt off to give us great energy at practice, hustles, flies around, embraces his role, is a good teammate, was never about Mason Pack, was always about being a Missouri Tiger, always fight Tiger. And another young man that's Mizzou made and suffered an injury in practice. It's going to keep him out the rest of the season. But a young man who still wants to fight and be a part of this football team and is proud to put on the black and gold and to wear the block M. And we're going to miss Mason. But, man, just so fortunate to get to coach him. Just so fortunate to be around that positive energy. And then Case Cook. I've known Case since he was in high school. Obviously coached his older brother at NC State. Have watched Case from afar. I remember when I was at App State and Mizzou played Troy. We had that game in crossover, watching Case then as a player, and to see how much of a leader he is to our football team, a captain, a guy who comes in here and pushes and prods and works. I think the young man has laid so much of his body onto our football field, for our football team, for the brothers in that room, but for this university. A guy who's had multiple surgeries. His body is just beat down. He has a significant shoulder injury that they told him to shut it down after the Kentucky game, and he refused, did not want to go out that way. Rehabbed to come back. And it just wasn't getting to where he could functionally play, and the doctors had to take it out of his hands, no longer let it be his decision. But to know how hard he fought to play for our football team, to play for this university, again, just so proud of these guys, just so proud. And I know in the midst of a season there's all kinds of things and talking points and storylines, but these three guys represent what we want Mizzou made to be, and what we want our culture and our football team to be about. It's bigger than yourself. It's bigger than you. It's about the brotherhood. It's about giving everything you've got to this football team. And when the chips are good, you're good. And when the chips are down, you're still good. And that's what these three guys are. And we're going to miss their leadership on the football field. But the great news is we're not going to miss their presence in our locker room or on our football team. And we're going to celebrate those guys. And it's an opportunity for other people to step up and play and contribute. And so we will embrace that opportunity for those guys. Had a good bye week. Had the opportunity to really reflect on what we need to do to improve. Focused on some tangible things that we feel like we need to improve in order to finish out these last 5 games. continue to work and create competition within our program on the practice field. Got a challenge ahead of us this week. Obviously, going on the road is always difficult in this league. Obviously, 2 years ago bears that witness. Have a defense that's very long and physical up front, very multiple in their approach, both 4 down and 3 down, multiple pressure packages, and then do a really good job on third downs of pressuring. Create turnovers, have had 2 interceptions in each of the last 4 games. So that's going to be a challenge for us. We have got to take care of the football. And then offensively, they've got multiple position players at quarterback. Obviously, they've got 2 different styles that they can go to, which creates a challenge for us in how we prepare that plan. And we're going to have, obviously, our work cut out for us as we are still dealing with injuries. And so getting young guys ready and able to play and focus on what their assignments are. So it's going to be a great task, a tall task, and one that we will embrace this week. So with that, I'll open it up with questions.
Eli, you mentioned Case. He's one of a whole class of guys who would normally be seniors but have an extra year of eligibility because of the COVID year. Did you use the bye to start talking to any of those guys about whether or not they may look to come back? I know that the number situation is really murky because of the 85 scholarship cap comes into place next season. I mean, how do you go about figuring out how much room you're going to have?
Yeah, that's the very difficult challenge of the COVID year. And still with so much left to play, there's so many different things that could be decided. I think we've had some preliminary conversations with a few people, but those will be kept internal, and basically just said, guys, there's 5 weeks left. Let's focus on finishing this week. And you really can't count, you can't look into the future. I just spoke about 3 young men who didn't have the opportunity to finish it the way they wanted to play. So let's just enjoy the day and focus on the day. But we have had some conversations, and I have really no updates because nothing's decided with 5 games left to play.
Does that include not being decided with Case? I mean, the way you talked about it, his body might not allow him to keep playing, but is that still a possibility?
It's still a possibility, and that's going to be something that Case is ultimately going to have to decide. I don't want him to make that decision in the emotion of the injury, and I don't want to put any words in his mouth or ideas in his head. That's going to be 100% his opportunity to decide with his family on what's in the best interest of him, and we'll go from there.
I know there's no depth chart, but who can you turn to for the snaps that Chris was playing at end and then Case did?
Yeah, obviously Woody is an opportunity for him at right guard, and EJ both have played that position and have gotten an opportunity to compete there. At defensive end, Jatorian Hansford has been able to step up. Arden Walker, Johnny Walker, Cannon York are guys that really are in that rotation right now.
You talked about self-scouting going into the bye.
Mm-hmm.
When you looked at things, I mean, I don't know how detailed you want to be, but did you find more personnel changes you can make, scheme changes you can make, or what kind of things did you see that you think can be changed going forward?
I mean, we have who we have, and we've got to continue to improve technique and fundamentals. That's the biggest thing. Like, it's technique and fundamental driven. We've got to improve in our techniques. We've got to improve in our fundamentals within the scheme of what we're trying to run. And we got to look at, okay, are these the best calls? And it may draw up good, but it may not fit our players. And so that's, those are some of the things that we've discussed and had input on and tried to continue to work and say, okay, this is what we feel like we can be good at, and we feel like these players can be good at. And that's what we got to do. I think there was really 3 main focuses just from an overall. Obviously, penalties. Penalty yardage in our 4 losses is very lopsided. Turnovers in the 4 losses are very lopsided. We got to protect the football, and if you turn it over, you got to get it back. You have to get it back. And then the last one was just slow starts. Slow starts. We got to start faster, and that's a contribution of the turnovers and penalties. We start slow when we have turnovers in the first quarter, or if we have penalties in the first quarter that, inhibit drives.
Eli, focused on not having an opponent right in front of you with the bye week. Now going where you do have an opponent again, do you feel much more comfortable with what you have despite the injuries going forward to the final 5 months?
Yeah, we got what we got. We have who we have, and we've got players who have God-given ability and talent, and we look forward to giving them an opportunity to play. So we're excited about their opportunity, their chance. I mean, we recruited 85 starters in high school, so it's their opportunity to play and show what they have and where they got to improve and how much better they can get, and it's our job to put them in a position to be successful. But there's opportunity for people to contribute. So.
Do you see some individual guys, without opening the curtain too far, who are like, okay, really took advantage of that week?
I think a lot of our guys took advantage of last week. I think this is a hungry group. I don't sense that there's. I sense a lot of people that want to improve, want to get better, understand we're not maybe where we wanted to be, but there's still a lot of opportunity left for us, and the only way to get better is to go to work. And whether it was true freshmen or fifth-year seniors or COVID seniors, I think everybody is last week really attacked that. And really Sunday night, we came back, had a good Sunday night practice, and thought there was good energy and excitement about what we're trying to accomplish.
Eli, how does it affect the team kind of from a mentality standpoint when you have, a guy like Case Cook who's, a captain go out with a, season-ending injury, especially after, like you said, he had kind of fought to keep playing?
Yeah, I mean, it's an unfortunate part of the game, and I think that's just really it. I think it hurts, and you grieve for that person, but you also press on. You have to press on. Time and tide wait for no man, and so this is an opportunity for somebody else to get their opportunity to play the game and play the right way, and so you hate it for Case, and on an individual basis, you hate it for him, but for our football team, the season must continue. And that's the mindset of the team, that you can hurt for your brother, but you got to push on for the team.
It looks like there's some significant progress kind of going on with the south end zone. Just do you have any sort of update on it, and what's it like for you to park your car and see all that going on?
Just excitement. Yeah, just excitement. It's been a process to just continue to get that thing going, and thank the not only the board of curators, but everybody involved, the president, the athletic director, and the boosters who are believing in what we can be and what we will be, and understand that it's all a vision, and now vision's starting to become reality. And so that's really cool. And I thought about grabbing some firewood. The weather's changing, so maybe we grab some firewood too. I don't know.
You mentioned the turnovers specifically
Yeah.
with Connor. What
Yeah.
goes into cutting down on some of those interceptions?
Preparation, decision making, protection. I think those really, when you look at the three, really the last 3 games that we had multiple turnovers in, that's what it comes down to, is decision making, preparation, understanding what they're trying to do and why that's not a good throw, and then making sure that there's protection so we're not forcing the ball into situations that they shouldn't be in, trying, the clock going off early. And so those are things that again, we're working through, and we'll continue to improve.
How does he handle tough times? I mean, he didn't really have a whole lot of them last year, but maybe at the end of the year. But
Yeah.
These are mid-season tough times. What have you learned about him watching him kind of process these?
Well, I think it's new. And I think you find out what you're made of on all sides of it. And I think we do a good job of making sure people understand that praise and blame are all the same. You can't get caught up one way or the other. You got to have a confidence in who you are, own your mistakes, and keep pushing forward. And it's easy to say. All this stuff is easy to say. It's easy to read. It's easy to like on Twitter. It's when you're actually walking through it that you got to prove it. And we got a lot of confidence in Connor, but we also understand there's competition. And you got to continue to work to improve. And we got all the faith in the world in him, and he's got faith in himself. But we also have to continue to improve.
I know you said after the last game that he wasn't hurt, but he did look a little bit like he might have been limping in that fourth quarter. Was the bye week good for him, even though, hey, you still felt comfortable playing him? I mean,
Yeah.
Was the time off good for him from a health standpoint?
Yeah, I think time off was good for everybody. 7 games, I think it was good for everybody. The number one requirement to play the position of quarterback is toughness, both physical and mental. That's never going away. You got to be mentally tough to handle the good times and the bad times, to handle the praise and the blame. You got to be physically tough to handle the hits and shots that you're going to take and stand in and deliver the ball. And he's had both of those throughout the first 7 games. And so, I think it was good to get away, also see, these are things that I've got to fix and take accountability for those, which I was proud of the way he's done that. And he's going to continue to improve. He's still very young and playing the quarterback position.
You mentioned after the Texas A&M game that you were, learning a lot about yourself, as a head coach this season. Just kind of what have you learned, and how do you think this season has kind of, helped you improve going through, some of this adversity?
Some of that I'll keep to myself till now, because there's still a lot left to learn and go through. But I think no different than probably the quarterback a little bit, that you got to have both mental toughness and physical toughness in this situation. And you got to have, Coach Chiz used to always talk about, you have to have a 10,000 feet view. You got to be able to see above the tree line and make sure you understand where the program's going and where it's headed, and can't get caught up making, maybe if you drive and you have your eyes down and you try to steer every turn, you constantly are changing paths, maybe rising above and seeing where we're going and how we're going to get there and what it's going to take to be able to get there. And facing some adversity. I haven't had my butt whipped like that before. So, figuring out what is that combination? Why is that? Where's my ownership of that? How do I fix it? And at the end of the day, that ownership lies with me. And so, how do you continue to find ways to take lessons from losses?
It looks like Lee said today that Ken Seals is day-to-day at the moment, and then Mike Wright's going to remain the starter until Seals can prove that he can return to fitness. How does that sort of change the game plans? You mentioned that they can run 2 different quarterbacks, 2 different styles. Does that change the next few days in training?
So he said Ken Seals was day-to-day, but Mike Wright would remain the starter?
Yeah.
Well, it's about like I guess it doesn't really change. You plan for Mike, but understand that Kenny could play, I guess. I don't know. I wish he'd give us a little bit more clarity. Coming from a guy who didn't put out a depth chart.
I'm not asking you to comment on any specific player, but obviously there were a couple of transfers that became public over the bye. The roster turnover is that kind of what you expect when you take a job? You understand the first 2 years that there's going to be a lot of that. Has it been similar to what you would have anticipated?
I didn't really have a barometric for that, to be honest, because I think we're in an uncharted territories from this. I don't know that there's been head coaching turnovers. The portal's 3 seasons? And so this is new for every first-year head coach. I think there's always been, new head coaches with the portal. I think there's always been avenues for people to come and go. Want to wish them well. Whoever leaves our program, we wish them the absolute best and hope that they go find the right fit for them and become the best version of themselves. And that's really all you can wish for everybody. I've made decisions to take other jobs that best fit me, and so I'm never going to begrudge those players. I would focus on the guys that are here, and we're trying to build a team in chemistry and a camaraderie and find the right fit for Mizzou. And fit is a lot of different things, and fit doesn't mean either person did wrong. Sometimes it just doesn't fit. And we got to find the right fit for Mizzou and the right fit for what we're trying to build here. And like I said, I wish absolutely everybody who's left the absolute best, and however we can help them and aid them in their discovery of themselves and becoming the best version of themselves, we absolutely will. But I'm focused really on the last 5 games of this season and how do we become the best team that we can be, and how do we put the best product on the field that we can put this week against Vanderbilt, which is a challenge with all the injuries that we're facing.
Coach, how has your recruiting momentum helped you kind of cope with the maybe tougher season this year than you might have expected?
It's all part. Like, there's no on the field success, recruiting success, personal success. It's all wrapped into the journey that you're on right now. And so you're taking you're learning lessons in some phases and you're taking, other phases and you're combining it to try to build momentum, to build what we're trying to build. And so that's all I would say about that.
When you think about that and you look at the 10,000 foot, like we talked about a minute ago, what is your big picture view coming out of this bye, last half of the season of the program as a whole?
My big picture view in the middle of the season right now is focused on forgetting those things that behind. I press on towards the goal. I press on towards the goal, which is to be 1-0 this week. Like I got no other mindset. I've got a head coaching mindset that looks and sees where the vision of this program is going to go and what the goal is, which is on that team room. That I'm focused on how do we build a team that can get there and will get there at some point. But right now, the only thing on my mind is what do I need to do to motivate our players, to put our players in a position to play Saturday and to win Saturday. And that's the most important thing for me. Like, I owe it to Chris, to Mason, to Case, to Mike Mayetti, to Akil Byers, to Sean Ketting, to Grant McGinnis, to Micah Wilson, to Kobe Whiteside, to give them every single thing I got to make sure that we can be 1-0 Saturday. And that's all I'm focused on. That really is it. So, long term, we can discuss that at the end of the season. We can discuss that on signing day. We can discuss that moving. But like right now, in the middle of it, in the thick of it, man, I'm concentrating on how do we play our best ball Saturday.
You mentioned the injury situation a few times. Are there other guys beyond those three that are out for the season?
Now, I don't know anybody else that's out for the season, but we're still dealing with some injuries that occurred. Whether it's in bye week and whatnot, we'll answer those on Thursday. But it's that time of year. I don't think it's abnormal to me or Mizzou. It's just college football. It's a physical game.
You've talked about that 1-0 mentality a lot. I know that's kind of, a common thing in sports and football, but for you, is there a mentor that specifically, imprinted that on you or something that really made you kind of buy into that early on in your career?
No, I don't necessarily think it was anything that was imprinted other than that's just how you got to go about your business in order to be successful. If you get caught up worried about too many scenarios or all these other things or what lies ahead, you don't take care of what lies in front. And so in football, dealing with 18 to 22-year-old young men and staff, it's a challenge to get everybody on the same page, pushing in the same direction, and really that's what we got to do in order to be successful. And if you take care of the little things, then the big things will add up.
Eli, Missouri last time to Vanderbilt, you weren't here. Obviously, a lot of these players wasn't a good day. You draw on that this week, or is that just too much clutter?
Forgetting those things that are behind, I press on towards the goal. I just don't think that's a big. You can learn from the past and you can remind them of that, but I don't think it's a motivational tactic moving forward. Obviously, it's something you got to learn from and understand that did and can happen, but it's not. We're not using that to motivate us to play in a certain way. Our motivation is internal, based on what we're trying to achieve and who we're trying to play for, which is each other.
Eli, you haven't been shy about singing Tyler Beatty's praises this season.
Why would I?
I don't know. How did he benefit from the bye week, and how much of your success over the next 5 weeks are you kind of imprinting on him with what he's already done this season?
Obviously, Tyler is had a lion's share of the load, so anytime you can give him a break and rest his body, I think it's important. But there's no undue burden on Tyler that he's got to do something special in the next 5 games. We've got to continue to play better team football around Tyler. We got to continue to utilize him in the ways that we can for him to be successful and for our team to be successful. But I don't need him to feel like I've got to play so much better. I got to do this. Like he's doing everything he can. I think all of us around him have to play better. We got to take care of the football. We got to quit having penalties that we can control, and we got to start faster.